everyone. Some of you might remember this talk from previous years, but this is about goto file, which is a batshit crazy idea. So goto file is a module that acts as a compile time directive to stop parsing or processing the current file and switch to another one instead. In other words, goto file is tail end recursion for files instead of subroutines. In this script, we're going to this file instead, and none of the rest of the file will even be parsed. So how is this useful? Usually it's not, but I had a use case where it was. Goto file is used by test2 harness, also called YAF, when it runs a test in preload mode. A lot of tests will verify stack traces. And so if you use a tool that introduces an extra stack trace, you break your tests. So using goto file, I'm able to fork after preloading things and then run the new file without introducing any additional stack trace, making preloading for tests possible without changing the test. So how does this work? Well, there's a bunch of stuff you need to know to make it work, and I'm going to go through them. First of all, goto file is a source filter, but unlike most source filters, this doesn't try to rewrite your Perl code. It just throws away your Perl code and loads some other Perl code. So it's not as evil. So things to consider. It's a very simple idea, but it required some really black magic to make this work. So first off, just a little note, there is a problem if you fork in a begin block, because one of the forks will parse the rest of the file and the other one will be left with an empty file handle. And you don't know which one's going to get it. Another thing to consider is file and line number. If you're suddenly switching to another file, but Perl thinks you're still reading the same file, it's going to get the file name and line number wrong. But Perl has compile directives, or comments that you can use as directives to change the file name and line number from that point on. What about your data handle? Well, it's just like any other handle. You can actually close it and open it to something else, so it's pretty easy to solve that problem. Line noise. Now, if you try to open a file and read a file in a begin block, it will change your stack traces and error messages to show which file handle was read and what line number you're on. Once again, in a test, this can break the stack traces you're working on. But if you localize $. Before doing all that, that will hide that issue. So, you need to make a module do stuff when loaded. Most of you are Perl people and already know that the import method is automatically called when you load a module. So, implementation details. Here's the first part. We've got our import method that injects a few additional lines to correct the data and the line number and the file name, and then it initiates the filter. The filter then comes in and gets that information. It'll first spit out the lines we've injected, and then it will spit out the lines read from the file. And with that, you can now have tail end recursion on your files.